Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffe Kennedy, author of Epic Fantasy Romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Today is Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. And welcome. Thank you all for the kind comments and messages yesterday on the loss of Isabel. My mom said I made her cry. Didn't mean to make people cry, but yeah, hard to let go of our animal companions, right? So I was not productive yesterday. I had hoped that if I waited a day to post to social media and so forth about Isabel, that I would be buffered. But instead, having all of the outpouring of support just had me kind of simmering in the grief, which is probably good because many of you know I'm a fan of feeling the emotion, that you feel it and then you let it pass through you. Not good to restrain our emotions. Bottling them up leads to trouble. So yeah. And then the other thing that happened yesterday is I have mentioned before on here a couple of times about my friend Robin Perini in Albuquerque, wonderful author of romantic suspense, fabulous person all around, who went into the hospital before Christmas with pneumonia, not COVID apparently, but she's had pneumonia many, many times and her lungs are scarred from it. And so she went into the hospital and she was unconscious, and they decided to keep her unconscious to try to let her body heal because her organs were shutting down, and they had her on dialysis and so forth. And anyway, yesterday her family made the decision to take her off life support. So it's sad news week. If you're here for perky thoughts, I apologize. It has not been much of a perky thought week. Yeah. So yeah, we'll be waiting to hear on Robin's. Um, I assume they'll do some sort of memorial or funeral, and I'll go to that. I think tomorrow on I don't know. I would like to post something about her, but maybe we'll wait until there's an obituary to link to and so forth. But yeah, Dorinda and I were on Zoom together working, and she knows Robin well too. So we were just sad together about it. And Robin is my age, but and Dorinda's a year older than I am, which I think is important to remember. That Dorinda says that as the elder, she has seniority. I think it just makes her crotchety, but whatever. So yeah, very hard to say goodbye to someone whose life is cut short in this way. Uh, just wrong. Is death ever right? I guess it is. I do think it is. With Isabel, she had been deaf and was pretty much blind, and you know, our bodies give out. The mortal flesh is frail, right? Which I think is probably a theme in a lot of my books. I almost always have magical healing in my books, uh, for good reasons, right? Uh, yeah, I had a conversation with Nedia Corafor once when she was here visiting Santa Fe, and Nettie asked me, I'm thinking how the transcript won't like that. Oh, hang on. We have to let in the little monster. I'm just going to leave the video on to let in the little monster. I guess I hallucinated it. He's asleep. Um, oh, so anyway, Nettie asked me if I could have any superpower, what it would be, because this is the kinds of conversations that fantasy authors have, apparently. And she said that for her, that she would want to be able to fly. And I said I would want to be able to heal anybody. I want to have healing powers that I could heal any disease or wound. And she said, but that would lead to chaos because then everybody would live forever. And I said, I don't care. I said I would still want that. I yeah, and I would use it indiscriminately. I would be a terrible superhero because I would heal everybody all the time to the best of my ability, which is probably why it shows up in my stories a lot. And interestingly, when I was in Kauai and having conversations with folks, Alex Guerovich said that he thought that immortality was achievable, that we would eventually, science would have it so that our bodies would not give out and that we would live forever. Um, and I said, well, would you want to live forever? And he said, absolutely. Everybody wants to live forever. And I said, I don't know if I want to. And I said something about the carrying capacity of Earth, and he said, well, that's actually not a real thing. That wouldn't be a problem. But I don't think we ever got into the explanation of why he believes it would not be a problem. But I don't know. What do you all think? I don't think we are meant to inhabit mortal flesh indefinitely. But then I have a lot of spiritual ideas, which I think actually Alex does not. I think I asked him if he believed in that we transcend death, that there is anything left of us after death, and he thinks not. But I do. I think I believe in reincarnation. I believe we move on through multiple lives, and I don't think that it would be interesting to write this story, right? You know, where science achieves immortality, but how does the I don't know, the universe, the triumph of the spirit overcome that? It would be difficult to make people entirely immortal. You could, make the flesh so that it is renews itself, so that we don't age or get diseases. But you can't stop stuff from, like, if there's a fire and you burn up in a fire. Actually, Tanith Lee wrote a really cool set of stories. I'm looking to see if it's on my shelf. It's like Drinking Sapphire Wine was one of them, where basically people could move their spirits from body to body. And it was a cool premise. All of her stories were so great. And unfortunately, she died. We would have liked to have kept her alive that way, wouldn't we? Yeah. So the other thing that happened yesterday, and perhaps it was part of my mental wandering because I was not focusing on the book well. And sometimes I think these days are meant, that we don't necessarily, that sometimes excursions really help feed into the books and the story. I was just thinking about, that there's back to the idea that I was talking about yesterday about writing fast or writing slow. And I was just looking up, I appreciated the comment from Briar Bramble Rose is your username. Thank you very much. I hadn't replied yet, but I like that. I think that it is true. She commented that she thinks if she had slowed down, she might have had to do less work. Let's see, let me quote exactly. But I think if I had slowed down, I might have less work to do for my second draft. Sometimes writing slower improves my prose, but sometimes so does writing longhand. Grace Draven writes longhand, and then types it in, and I just can't even. But for me, I love being able to get that flow, but I haven't got it as much lately, so I don't know. Maybe I'm in a different place. Briar Bramble Rose also had an excellent suggestion on the tarot question. I thought you had very good suggestions. to buy a new book and just put a new deck, sorry, and put the new deck sun in my old one. So that would sort of keep the energy of the old deck. Or I could make my own sun out of cardstock and laminate it. I thought that was smart too. So, or I could keep using the deck as is. I'm trying to decide if I really want to try to look for this sun card. I used a pendulum, and I don't know if it's true or not, but the pendulum thinks that the sun card's like under these bookshelves. It might be much easier just to buy a new deck and use that card. But I do like that idea. So thank you very much for the suggestion. So in some of my wandering yesterday, I was looking at sort of one thing led to another, as these things do. And I found out that a friend of mine had a Tumblr account, one that they haven't used in some time, because I think we all left Tumblr in a mass exodus, right? Uh, and I was reminded. I mean, I knew vaguely that it was there, but I hadn't thought about it for a very long time. Is that I used to have this naughty Tumblr called Jeffe's Closet, and I'll link to it. But you'd have to like log in and accept the mature content warning on it. I just kind of thought that it would be totally gutted because when Tumblr went to, no no mature content, no dirty images. I thought they purged everything, but it's actually all still there. A lot of the posts show as being hidden because of community guidelines. So I think to see it at all, you have to log in and accept the mature content warning. Warning. And then there's a lot of posts on there that you can't see at all anymore. But I last posted to it at the end of 2017. And so it was interesting to think about that and to go back through and uh, revisit these images. I used to cross post to Twitter, and I had the hashtag Mastering Monday. Um, yeah, so it's a lot of like kinky sex images. And I had so much fun doing that. And I had that, people would follow the hashtag. But I was thinking about why did I stop posting to it? Partly was Tumblr going to this mature content guidelines thing, which killed Tumblr, right? It was like, that was why we were on Tumblr. Uh, and then the other thing that happened, it's just been an interesting 6 or 7 years, hasn't it? And I hadn't thought about it in these terms at all. But, one of the things that happened was Trump was elected in 2016, which was, just emotionally devastating, particularly with the stuff that happened around MeToo and his sexual aggression and all of that. We watched the movie last night, She Said, and I'll link to that too, because, in fact, so She Said is just a really well done movie. I enjoyed it very much with Carey Mulligan and Zoe Kazan. They did such a great job. And it's about the New York Times story to expose Harvey Weinstein and how that set off a lot of the Me Too movement. And they start the movie with Zoe Kazan, and I don't know if Carey Mulligan too, but at any rate, investigating Trump and the allegations and getting women to go on the record and how he got elected president anyway. And I just remember how awful that was. And then that Harvey Weinstein being, exposed was like the exposed was the only story, or like one of the few to eclipse the pandemic, that all of that going down. But I remember in those days of that, all that stuff with Trump, it was no longer sexy to me. The Girls in Chains was no longer fun. It became just awful. It just became too much. And so, yeah, by the end of 2017, I just stopped posting to the thing. And it was fun to go back at the images and sort of rediscover what's sexy about them. But for those of you who know me only through my fantasy romance persona identity brand, uh, yeah, back in the day when I first started, I wrote a lot of contemporary BDSM romance, and I've been republishing those. So now I've got out 5 golden rings, sapphire and platinum, because I got the rights back on those, and ruby will be out in a couple of weeks. So it's kind of fun that those are uh, out there for me again. They've been out there all this time, but uh, of course they're mature content, so they won't come up easily, but you can find them on my website and so forth, and they're linked in the show notes. Excuse me. And then I have 3 more full-length novels that I'll get out there and get those republished. So yeah, just kind of funny to think about how much has changed. Uh, the or where I've been the last 6 or 7 years. And it's interesting to me that it is such a watermark because the Chinese very much believe in that your body renews itself every 7 years, and so that every um, 7th birthday is a significant one. So 2016 was the year that I turned 50, and uh, and I've had obviously I'm not saying this very articulately, a number of 7 birthdays, but the earrings I'm wearing today, these are 7 pearls of varying sizes, and David gave these to me a long time ago, possibly for my 28th birthday, possibly for my 35th birthday, something like that. Multiples of the sevens. Uh, Oh, so I got it wrong, right? It's not 2016. Hang on, I have to think. Right, so actually 49 would have been, so 2015. But that was still a watershed year. I was just thinking in terms of 50 years from 1966. Math. Um, but anyway, it's, this last year, 56 is of course a multiple of 7. And I was kind of aware of that at the time, but maybe not really marking it as I should. But at any rate, I'm sort of at this place where I'm looking back at the last 7 years or so, and it's been, I don't know, a lot has happened. A whole lot has happened for me in these last 7 years, and I've changed directions on things, and I hadn't thought about stuff like my Tumblr Jeffe's closet. So anyway, it's interesting to revisit this stuff. I appear to be in a reflective mood lately. But at any rate, thank you all for the kind comments. Um, go read a Robin Perini book. And I will talk to you all on Thursday. You all take care. Bye-bye.